Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by asking you a simple question. How often have you started something, but quit when it became difficult? How many dreams have you let go of? How many dreams have you let go of? How many goals have you left unfinished, just because you couldn't keep going? Today, I want to remind you that the difference between success and failure isn't based on talent. It's not about being lucky either. It's all about consistency. The ability to keep showing up, even on the days when you don't feel like it. We've all been there. At first you're excited, you're motivated, and everything seems possible. But soon the excitement fades and the real work begins. Life gets in the way. Problems come up, and what do? We slow down, take a break, and convince ourselves that we'll get back to it later. When we feel more rested or when things are easier. But here's the truth. That perfect moment might never come. Waiting for everything to line up just right is a trap. Instead, the secret is to push yourself to be consistent, even when it feels tough. Consistency is more powerful than motivation. And if you truly want to reach your potential, you have to embrace this idea. Motivation is like a spark. It's exciting at first, and it gets you started. But like any fire, it burns out quickly unless you keep feeding it. Once the initial spark fades, you're left with either a dying flame or a slow, steady burn. That steady burn, that's consistency. It's not glamorous, but it's what will keep you going when everyone else has given up. Think of motivation as a mood. Some days you wake up feeling unstoppable. You're ready to take on the world full of energy. But if we're being honest, that doesn't happen every day. Most days you wake up with a list of excuses. You're tired, you didn't sleep well. Maybe the weather's bad or you're feeling sore. And on those days, motivation is nowhere to be found. That's why you can't rely on it. Life will always throw things your way. And if you wait for the perfect conditions, you'll never make progress. Consistency, on the other hand, doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't matter if you're tired or if life is stressful. Consistency is about showing up anyway. And that's where the real power lies. When you stop waiting to feel like it and start relying on consistency, you become unstoppable. It's like flipping a switch in your mind. Instead of waiting for the right moment, you create the right moment. You create the right moment. Through hard work and discipline, it's no longer about doing the work when you feel like it. It becomes a non-negotiable part of your day. Think about anyone who has achieved greatness. Whether they're athletes, artists, or business leaders. What do they have in common? It's not that they're always motivated. It's not that they're always motivated. It's that they've mastered the art of showing up. Day after day, no matter how they feel. They've made consistency their secret weapon. And that's what sets them apart. It's not that they don't face challenges. They absolutely do, just like the rest of us. The difference is they've trained themselves to keep going when it's hard and comfortable, or when everyone else is ready to quit. That's the true power of consistency. It builds habits, and once those habits are in place, the work becomes automatic. When you've been consistent for long enough, skipping a workout or putting off a task doesn't feel like a relief. It feels wrong. It feels like you're letting yourself down, because this habit has become a part of who you are. That's what separates those who reach their goals from those who don't. Successful people make consistency a part of their identity, but let's be clear. It's not easy. Building that kind of consistency takes time, effort, and discipline. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not exciting. Nobody is going to cheer you on for waking up at 5 on to hit the gym, or for staying late at work to finish a project. And that's okay. Discipline isn't about getting recognition. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when no one is watching. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether anyone's watching or not. Discipline is the muscle that powers consistency, and like any muscle, it gets stronger the more you use it. The more you show up, the easier it becomes to keep showing up. And let's talk about that for a moment. Showing up, that's half the battle. Most people quit before they even begin. They talk themselves out of it before they've had a chance to make progress. They let their feelings dictate their actions. But you have to be different. You have to show up even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because those are the moments that matter the most. Those are the moments that separate the average from the exceptional. It's easy to show up when you're excited, when everything's going your way, when the motivation is high. But can you show up when things aren't going your way? Can you show up when it's hard? When it's inconvenient, when you're tired and frustrated? That's the true test. And when you pass that test, when you show up consistently day after day, you start to build something incredible. You start to build momentum. Each small action builds on the last. And before you know it, you've created a wave of progress that carries you forward, and that momentum, that's powerful. It pushes you through the tough days. It makes it easier to keep going, because you've already invested so much time and effort. That stopping now feels like a betrayal of everything you've worked for. But here's the thing about consistency. It's not just about putting in the time. It's about putting in the right kind of time. It's about being intentional with your actions. Just going through the motions isn't enough. You have to bring focus and energy to what you're doing, even on the days when it feels like a grind. Consistency isn't about being robotic. It's about being relentless. It's about constantly striving to improve, to get a little better each day, even when it feels like you're not making progress. And that's another important point. Consistency doesn't always yield immediate results. In fact, most of the time the results come much later. It's like planting seeds. You don't see the fruit right away. But if you keep tending to the soil, keep watering, keep nurturing, eventually you'll have a garden full of abundance. But that only happens if you're patient enough to wait for the harvest. Too many people give up right before they would have seen the results. They plant the seeds, but when they don't see growth right away, they walk away. Don't be that person. Understand that consistency is a long game. It's not about quick wins. It's about sustained effort over time. And that's why consistency is more powerful than motivation. Motivation might get you started, but it's consistency that keeps you going. It's what separates the dreamers from the doer. The people who achieve their goals aren't the ones who are always motivated. They're the ones who show up day after day, even when they don't want to. They're the ones who keep pushing, even when it's hard. They're the ones who build consistency into their lives. And because of that, they've created habits that carry them through the toughest of times. So when the excitement fades, when the motivation dies down, and when you're tempted to quit, remember this: it's not about how you feel in the moment. It's about staying true to the commitment you make to yourself. It's about building the discipline to keep showing up, even when you don't want to, because in the end, that's what will carry you to success. We often convince ourselves that, in order to achieve greatness, we must perform grand, extraordinary acts. We trick ourselves into believing that monumental leaps are the only way to move forward. That if we don't make a huge splash, then what we're doing doesn't matter. But this mentality can be devastating. It's like standing at the base of a mountain, looking up at the peak, and feeling paralyzed by the sheer size of it. The enormity of the task ahead makes it feel impossible to even start. So we hesitate, we wait. We make excuses. We allow fear and doubt to grip our hearts. Because in our minds we've already failed, before we've even taken the first step out. But here's the truth you need to grab hold of. Success is not found in those massive, life-changing moments, no. It's built in a small, daily actions that seem inconsequential in the moment. It's not about giant leaps. It's about those tiny, incremental steps that seem too small to matter. But over time they add up to something remarkable. Too many people get caught up in waiting for that perfect moment, for that big break, for that stroke of luck to propel them forward. But if you spend your life waiting for those monumental moments, you'll be standing still forever. What you have to understand is that small steps, those little moves that seem like they aren't making a difference, are what lead to big results. Imagine for a second that you are climbing that mountain, not by running or leaping, but by placing one foot in front of the other. With every step, no matter how small, you get a little higher, a little closer to the summit. You can't always see how much progress you're making, day by day. Sometimes it feels like you're stuck in the same place. But when you look back, after months or years of consistent effort, you'll be amazed at how far you've come.